Hello my viewers, welcome back to the channel. And by the video title, you know what this video is about. You've probably seen an earlier video on the NBA award predictions, but today, this time slot right here, we got my top receivers in the 2024 draft. So there's a lot of receivers that are on there, on the board and stuff. There's a lot of talented receivers in this draft. This is one of the most deepest classes actually in a while to be seen with a lot of different receivers and versatility too as well. A lot of big receivers, physical receivers, a lot of great route runners, a lot of guys with speed, a lot of guys with quickness, shifty guys, all type of receivers in this draft class right here. But these are some of the top guys that I like the most in the draft class. And let's start off right now with the best guy. In my opinion, I think the best guy in this draft class, Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr. is an amazing player, like I mentioned before. Weeks back when I did the analysis video in him, there really no weaknesses in his game. You see his play style. He can play different elements in the game. He can be a receiver that moves the sticks. He can be a guy who can get down the field, deep threat target, has great speed, has great athleticism, great control in the air, very fluid, quick, shifty. When the ball in his hands, he can make plays as well. Yards after catch. He's just a very versatile player. He reminds me of a comparison of his is Julio Jones. Julio Jones-esque type player, just a physical specimen, a guy who is basically unguardable and just make plays. Whether you want him to be a route technician or whether you want him to be a deep threat, in any type of offense he'll fit well into. So wherever he gets drafted to, most likely going to be the #1 guy because he'll probably be gone within the first few rounds. First few picks. Probably I don't see him dropping past 5. So I think he'll be up there when those teams. Teams picking are the Bears. They probably take Caleb Williams, of course. And then you look at Washington, they'll probably take Drake May, maybe. Or unless they take Marvin Harrison Jr., you never know. But they already got Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson. So they might take probably Drake May, and then the Patriots probably could take Marvin Harrison Jr., or they could take Jaden Daniels or something. So there's a lot of different scenarios that going on. That could go on, really. We'll see where he lands, but I think he don't drop past 5. The Giants could take him too as well. Giants are a team that needs some receivers. The quarterback situation is still a little shaky. You don't know if Daniel Jones is the guy or not. They pay him a lot of money, so they have no choice but kind of like roll with him a little bit. But I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is the best in his class. He's a guy that if you was to take your draft pick and pick him, it would be the most safest pick in the entire draft because he's a guy who has nothing but upside to him, nothing but upside and stuff, and he can work in any offense. Next, I think Malik Neighbors is up there as well. One of my favorite guys to watch in the draft. Malik Neighbors, first class speed, a speedster, a guy who can get down the field. And a lot of players love having a guy like that. I think he's going to be a Cardinal most likely. Cardinals lost Marquise Brown, and they need another receiver on the outside. They have McBride, a good tight end. They have who's been playing pretty good football the past 2 years, especially last year. He had a good season. Kyler Murray is their quarterback. They're going to build around him. So I think getting a guy like Malik Neighbors to add to Kyler Murray and the scheme they want to run, a lot of the crossing routes, a lot of the play action, a lot of the line shifting and stuff, and getting Malik Neighbors run across that field and delivering the ball to him and just giving him open space and just let him go to work. Amazing player at LSU. He was one of the big-time players getting down the field, using his speed and route running ability, deep route running ability to get down the field, make plays when the ball is in his hand. So I think he'll fit perfectly with the Cardinals. I don't know if anybody else would take him before then, but I think he's going to go to the Cardinals most likely and be a high pick up there because he's a very talented receiver, and they need a guy like that. I feel like he'll fit that system and scheme very well. Another guy, too, who I have on the list, let's see, should I go this way? I'm probably go this way right here. My will get his teammate, Brian Thomas Jr., Brian Thomas Jr. is the counterpart to Malik Neighbors and LSU, and he's his play style is a little different. He's 6'4", 213, 14, 15 around that range pounds. Very physical receiver, big body receiver, and catching 50-50 passes in the air was his thing. That's all he did. Catch 50-50 passes in the air. They threw the ball up to him. They gave him the ball. They kept throwing it up to him. He caught 50-50 balls all the time. He was just very physical, playing in the air and making things happen in the air like that. And sometimes he might have got himself in a little trouble doing that, but most of the time, but most of the time it worked out in his favor. But sometimes you feel like he don't have to like catch the 50-50 ball, but he kind of make everything into a 50-50 catch, which is good in a sense. But sometimes in the NFL, you want to make it everything easier. You don't want everything to be tougher than what it is. But I think overall that can be fixed easily. There's just tendencies that he has because he's just very physically imposing, and you know how to use his height. You know how to use his jumping ability as well. So I think he'll be a guy who he could be a top 10 pick as well too. So a lot of these receivers could definitely be gone within the first round like that. And worst case scenario, maybe early second round, but I think most of these guys could be going first round. Most of these guys on my list. Next, I got Rome. Rome from Washington. You know, the great route runner, getting down the field, making things happen. You know, Malik Willis, big target. You know, I think he was a guy who was just they both was in sync. I think not Malik Willis. I said Malik Willis. Michael Penix Jr. I watched Malik Willis highlights earlier to see. I was looking at all the quarterbacks from the 2022 draft class, looking at their stuff, and I had Malik Willis engraved in my head. So I meant to say Michael Penix Jr. I thought him and Michael Penix Jr. at Washington was very good duo together. I think Michael Penix Jr. could be a first-round pick, but he might drop to the second round since the injuries that happened to him. But I think Rome is a very good route runner. He's a guy who could fit in anybody's team. And, you know, as you guys know, I like receivers who can run great routes. You know, of course, the speed, the physically opposing guys, the guys who can get up in the air and make plays are great. But I love a route technician. I love the Larry Fitzgeralds, the Antonio Browns. Even though he's crazy now. Just different guys who can run routes. Steve Smith Sr., the guys who are just very good at running routes. Devontae Adams nowadays as well. Odell Beckham was a very good route runner as well. Jarvis Landry was a good route runner his time too as well. Those guys who can just make things happen, who can run a route. Chad Ochocinco as well too. You know, just making plays like that and getting open and creating separation. It's kind of like a ball handler in basketball who can just dribble and create his space for a shot. I like players like that. Who can just create space like that. Like whether you're fast, whether you're slow, whether you're big, whether you're little, if you can run that route and get open and be right there where the quarterback needs you to be, hey, that right there is perfect. And he's one of those guys who could be one of those players in the league too as well. So if Rome was available, I think a lot of teams should be gunning to try to take him because he's a very good route runner and he will excel very well at the next level. Another guy I had on my list my list as well. Let's say as well. I can never say his name. Adonai Mitchell, you know, from Texas. Receiver from Texas. I watch a lot of Texas games. I live in Texas. I watch a lot of Texas games, the Longhorns, and, you know, his catch radius is crazy. You know, he made a lot of big-time plays. He's a guy who's just a freak of nature type player. His catch radius is off the charts. He uses arm length when he's in the air and just, like, dunking on receivers basically like that because, you know, like he played like a power forward almost like, or a small forward. He just now uses his height, his speed, athleticism, his vertical leaping ability. So I feel like he'd be a guy. He could fit well with the Chargers, but the Chargers already got Quentin Johnston. They got they have what's his name too as well, Josh Palmer, and most likely they need to probably build that O-line up. So they might take offensive lineman like Joe Alt, or they could probably take maybe Brock Bowers, a tight end, you know, as well too. They might want to build some stability like that. But I think he'd fit perfectly with them. But he could see himself maybe up there, but most likely he might fall. I think he might be like late round pick, first round pick type of guy. So he might be around the 20s ish. So we could see him on a good team. He could be on the Bills maybe. I think he'll fit well with them because they lost. I think Gabe Davis is not on the Bills anymore, if I'm not mistaken. I looked that up. I think Gabe Davis is not there anymore. But I feel like he can be on the Bills. He fit well there. You know, of course, the Ravens probably need another receiver as well. I know Zay Flowers is good and all, but add another guy would be great too to the mix. And Steelers as well. Steelers would be a great team for him as well. But I think he's very similar. He's similar to George Pickens' play style a little bit. So I think the Steelers might want to get somebody who's a little different in play style, but he would be a great addition too as well. So he could be around that 20-ish range in the draft. But I think overall he's a good player. And last but not least, who I have on my list too as well, another guy who I like watching. Well, I have two people on my list I love watching who are some underdog type picks. They might not be first round picks. They could be first round picks maybe later in the rounds. But Ricky Parcells from Florida, very, very shifty guy. He reminds me of a Jarvis Landry type, a guy, Hunter Renfrow type, route runner, you know, working in the slot, making things happen. Could be Steve Smith-ish type of style guy too as well. Not as physically imposing as a Steve Smith, because Steve Smith used to throw guys, you know, like that and be very physical. But he's very tough. He is physical enough like that to make plays, create separation, quick, shifty, now use his speed, and a very good route runner, especially working in the middle of the field, working from the slot position. If you watch some of those plays he made, remember that one-hand catch he caught, just going out there diving forward, taking a hit, getting up, and just being crafty. You know, like those routes he run too are very smooth. You know, not like the basic route tree. He might run. I seen him running some beautiful pogo routes. I seen him running some very good post corner routes as well too. He made a lot of big time plays down the field. The slanting goes as well. He'll time it right. He'll bait you like he going out, and he'll kind of cut in. He'll break it back out and go up as well too. So he has those type of route running abilities where he like to do double moves and be shifty and stuff. And he now uses quickness and control his speed too as well on the route. But you know, running is all about timing. You know, because like you can run a route like, oh, he run a route like that, but you're running too fast. You might take yourself out of put the defender back in the fray. But if you're running too slow, you might put yourself out of the play. So you got to run it. You got to time it right. You run the comeback route. You start up slow, and then you don't run your full speed. You start up slow, and then you break out your speed. So by the time you break out, your quarterback already got his eye and his read on you. And I think Ricky Paracel does a great job in route running, and his timing is amazing on his routes. So I think anybody at the next level would love to have a guy like that on the team. I think he might be a second-round pick probably. Maybe a first-round pick. You never know. You know, when the pro dates happen and people start seeing guys, they might start bringing them up. But I think he'd probably fall in the second round, dish like that. Maybe third round at worst case scenario. But I think second round is would be probably his range. I know in the mock draft, I think I took him in third or fourth round, which is crazy if he was still there in the mock draft. But most of the time, he's already gone. So I think he'll fall around that range in second round. Maybe worst case scenario third. Another guy too, underdog guy, Malachi Corley. Very good route runner and amazing with the ball in his hand. I love players like that. He reminds me of Antonio Brown type, AJ Brown type, like I mentioned before in the last mock draft I did last week. He's very versatile. When that ball gets in his hands, he can just go out there and make plays. He can deliver. We've seen him make a lot of things, turn a 5-yard catch into like a 50-yard catch or a 50-yard touchdown, making a big-time play. So he might catch a screen pass, and he put his foot in the ground. He'll juke, he'll break tackles, and you love players like that who could just make something out of nothing. So a guy like Malachi Corley would be great to add to your team. Very good route runner. He's physical as well. He's the best player on this team as well. I know he went to a smaller school, West Kentucky University, but he's still very dynamic and a great piece to have on your team. I think he'll fit well in a lot of different teams. And I think he'd probably be a second-round pick maybe in that range, a little bit, a sleeper guy, a guy who might get overlooked, coming in. But he reminds me of AJ Brown. If you watch him, if you go back and watch him, he looked like AJ Brown. He looked like Antonio Brown. He looked like one of those guys like that because he get the ball in his hand, he just go to work like that and make plays and stuff. So I think he's another sleeper guy too in the draft. But these are some of the top receivers I love in the draft. Let me know in the comment section down below who are your favorite receivers in this draft. This is my top receivers in the draft who I like a lot, who I think could be very dynamic at the next level. Of course, the other guys could be dynamic too, but these are just the guys I like the most. Let me know your list in the comment section, and I'll see you guys probably tomorrow. I will have the mock draft either tomorrow or Friday. Usually I do on Thursday, but we'll see. I should have it tomorrow. I'm at 7 o'clock. The Steelers mock draft, so be on the lookout for that. And I'll see you guys next time on the channel. Peace out.